Hey, welcome everybody. Back again, William Davis with A.P.C Photography and AV Media Solutions. Wow, we're on the big subjects today. I love live streaming. I love hybrid events. I love live to tape. Been doing this stuff since 1994. It's amazing. Yes, 1994. It's amazing what we get to do nowadays with technology. Yet, the scariest part of our whole thing is budgeting. I'm not going to tell you the amount of money it's going to cost to do something because that's going to be between you and the provider. I am going to say a couple of things that are very, very important when it comes to budgeting. A lot of times there's extra stuff when it comes to budgeting and expectations that come with budgeting. If you're looking at a provider who's willing to be at four figures or just entry level five figures, know that depending on how big that show is, if it's a full day show and they're bringing a crew of 6, 7, or 8 people with them, that's a very, very inexpensive cost to value you're getting. And they may have a very good service for you, but there may be some holes that happen because generally to get that level of pay and have someone there for 10 to 12 hours may have some differences in approach and experience. If you're looking at if we're just doing a small event and they're not doing any hybrid, they're just doing live streaming, and you're looking at something where you have 3 or 4 camera people on, A1 and A2, a producer, a switcher, someone who runs a live stream, and you're 20 to 25,000. That's probably a more experienced crew that's going to do a very good job for you, but that's without lighting, that is without anything else. There's no like specialty pieces to that. Or if you're bringing somebody in who's going to do like the full meal deal, I'm talking lighting, graphics, we're talking pre-production stuff that goes into scene designing, all the way to when you walk into this production, you literally just going to sit down, do what you got to do, and come through it. Then your budgeting is getting closer to 6 figures for that show. Can be higher than that. It can be really, really much higher. But it depends on what you're doing. And some people will say that those budgets are way out of whack, just way out of whack. But they're really not, because it's going to be depending upon what you're trying to do. And really, when I'm talking about budgeting for success, is take a moment and reach out to multiple providers if you need to, and see what does cost to get what you're envisioning, and not just the big thing you're envisioning, the small things you're envisioning, really to where the additional costs come in. For example, I'll give you one, an ASL, and so if we're adding an ASL that's a permanent spot on the screen, and then we're going to do a ticker below that's going to be closed captioning. Plus, we're going to have multiple camera people there that day, a switcher, all the rest. And then, you want us to do speakers, and so everybody can hear, or there's monitors or in-ear monitors for anyone who happens to be speaking. Like, this is what in-ear monitor means. Just basically, I got headphones on, and they do have wireless versions that just plug into your ears. And no one really knows you have them on, but wow, you can really tell how you sound, and you're not over-influxing, and you're not throwing too much voice into it. Things like that. That's the small things in the budgeting that can really start racking into the needs for expertise in areas, and with that comes a little more extra cost. So, for example, let's just say we had 6 speakers on stage, and we want each one of them to have their own monitor so they can hear themselves in ear. We have 4 speakers that are in, and no, this is just audio. I haven't even got the video yet. We have 4 live speakers that are in, like, actual speakers, big towers or whatever you want to call them, in the room. And then we happen to have a speaker outside the room so that someone can tell people to come in the room, but also have ambient music. So you've got to have an audio engineer who can literally send 8 signals out to people to hear themselves, have 8 signals in just for their own individual microphones, another microphone for the one that's going out, a feed in for if they have the ambient music in the room that could be different from the ambient music outside the room, where people are saying, where someone can tell people to go, hey, it is time to come into the room. Please show up into the room now. We are starting our meeting. That's just the audio engineer. You need someone who's got a lot of experience and has the right equipment to even make that possible. Then that same engineer may have to send all different signals to the live stream. So, for example, we don't want the ambient music, but we do want audience response and everybody who's on stage response to be in that live stream. And to make that possible, you have to have someone who has a lot of skill sets. And with that, the budgeting is going to have to be a little bit different. And the equipment that they need, that budgeting is going to be a little bit different because they have to rent different equipment, or they may already have the equipment in house. Or let's just say we go to somebody who is a video operator. You want a lot of pans, you want a lot of tilts, you want a lot of zooms in and out, and you want it to be smooth without the jittery look. Well, you're looking at a tripod that's not the normal tripod. You know, what you would think of a tripod, a couple $100. That's a $2,000 to $3,000 tripod to $10,000 tripod just to make sure those are smooth moves. Camera that's got to be good. You're going to have an operator that knows how to, do the tight and wide using a servo without having it have that jump sensation to it. That's a different type of level of experience. Whereas you may have an event where you just want a couple stationary cameras, make sure they stay live. That's a different level of experience. You may want someone who's behind the switcher who controls video to be able to add in multiple titles, switch those titles around as the screens change, adjust for scenes. That's going to take a level of expertise where the budgeting is going to be different. Or you just made somebody needs to be able to go and change one scene to another. Just go, okay, I'm going to go from here to here. There's not going to be any major changes, no titles added into it. That's a different level of experience. You may need a producer who can handle 5 people coming at once at them to try to get solutions going and making sure that they all get siphoned down and become that final outcome. Or it may just be a one-on-one communication between just one person at the show and that producer. Though those are different levels of needs and different levels of budgeting. So when someone asks me what a budget would be to do an event, it really does matter about what your the smallest components of the event. The outline is generally pretty easy to put together, but when you start putting in the small little tiny components, they all add up into a brand new envisionment. Like it's like a gumbo that just gets better and has more flavor to it, or a meal that that goes from a single course meal to a 5-course meal. And in doing such, budgeting does change. So what I want to recommend everyone to do is look at what they're trying to produce, what they want in the long run, and let's sit down and go, okay, so this is what I want as the big vision, but how do I break down the small pieces to it to make sure that, number one, I got a team that can do it, and number two, that I can fit it in the budget I want to do. And sometimes you got to cut some stuff out. Other times you got to say, okay, I got to budget this, but can I put a plan together to where we can make this budget work over a period of time versus a singular time? Stuff like that. You'd be surprised how, teams like I know are very, very flexible on that to make sure things happen in the long run, because we look at relationships at 5-year and 10-year intervals. We don't look at relationships as, oh, one show, it was really good. Hopefully you come back to us again. At least with my team, we look at every one of our clients as a 10-year client. 10 years. Anything less than 10 years, we're not really building a relationship. We usually start talking about 2 to 4 years down the road. How can we work this out? What can we do for you over this period of time? What are your envisionments for a long period of time? And that allows you to start budgeting for success. You may determine that, we're going to do a smaller hybrid show, and then we're going to do our large hybrid show. And we're not going to do a hybrid show in one. We're just going to do a single cam, and we're going to do basic audio. Just need to bring that in, and we don't need to do it. We're not running the front of house. And other times we're going to come in there. We're going to do the whole shebang. We're going to have every bit of it going into one space. So you only have one person to talk to control everything and make sure that your life is simple and easy. And that's what I'd say about budgeting. Budgeting is not just about dollars. It's about envisionment. What do you envision, and how do we make that vision come to life? And, what are the key components to it? So for 2023, 24, 25, as we're setting up bookings and we're getting new clients, this is what we're talking to them about and saying, hey, what's important for you? What's your long-term goals? And I always say to everybody, when it comes to budgeting, look at what you're trying to do, and then be upfront and frank with the amount of budget you have to work with, and then your flexibility if you had to do installments or whatever it is beyond that, to make sure you hit what you want. It's not what we want, it's what you want. And make sure that the teams you're working with can produce what you want, because sometimes they can't. I tell some people, when it comes down to it, there's somebody better that does this better. For example, live football games. I'm terrible at. Okay, so I'm going to tell you right up front. My experience with live football games, not my big thing yet. Let me say this, yet. I do happen to have someone who's in the team who's really good producer for them. He's done a ton of football games, done a ton of sports games, and done a ton of them live from here to California. And yes, I'll still tell you yes, but I won't be the producer for that day. I will not be the production manager for that day. I might just be audio for that day, because I'll put that person in charge, and then we'll get the solution done. But he's a little different. What it costs to have him come through is a little different. And it's definitely worth it, because the experience you're going to get from having the right people in the right place is way better than worrying about the budget. Because if you don't have a good show the first year, you're not going to have budget for the next year. They're just not going to produce it. So anyway, that's the whole of that there. Like I said, I'm not talking about dollars and cents here, in a sense, because, when it comes to budgeting for success, part of budgeting for success really isn't the dollars, it's the components that you want to bring in. And some of those do have dollars to them. Sometimes value adds that don't cost you anything. But in the end, budgeting for success means basically be upfront, be sincere with what your long-term vision is, and really dig into what your small components are that you want in both your hybrid event or just a live stream event, to make sure that you have success. And like I said, the bottom portion of this is success. Everything is about your success here. All right. Well, it's been great talking. This is the second one I've done today, and I don't think I'm doing a third, because I got a show that's coming up here this afternoon. But I wanted to get the series out real quick before I got locked into the next quarter. Each quarter, or sometimes I get going and I don't get a chance to even jump on here and do any posts or show new equipment or anything like that. So please accept that I'm going to do a couple of these right in a row. Take care. Have a great day. Bye.